Heavy metal has the drama of a classic stage sword penetration effect. Okay, so dramatic. But it's on a close-up level. I was so pleased when I started to develop this idea. There's so many things I really like about this trick. First, it's unlike any other trick you perform. I'm certain of that. Unlike any other. Second, it's absolutely surprising. The last thing people expect when they open that card case is to find a solid steel plate inside. All right, these two together, the fact that this is clearly metal and this is metal, it's the kind of thing that even before people get a chance to personally examine this, and they do want to closely examine this because they're convinced, their first thought often is that the solution to the mystery has to be, this can't be solid, this can't be solid, okay? Second, if that's solid, this has got to be gimmicked in some way. It has to collapse, it has to go apart in pieces, something. The fact that they're both solid is crazy. Now, people will want to also look at the card case often, but that's really a last-ditch attempt, because in people's minds, more often than not, they kind of get that this is so secondary, that in fact, these two are where the secret must lie, all right? So first, this is super easy to perform. You're going to love the fact how easy it is. With just a little bit of practice, okay, you're going to be able to do this. Second, I love the fact that it can be sitting in my card case waiting. It's a great opening trick. It's definitely a great opening trick, great closing trick. No question about that. Especially because, as I mentioned, it's unlike anything else you'll do. You might do vanishes and appearances. You may well do revelations and find things and read minds and things. But a metal through metal penetration effect, an impossible penetration like that, is super rare. So because it's so dramatic and so different, it makes for a great opening trick. Immediately establishes credentials. In fact, I'm going to show you. You don't even have to say a word. I'm going to share with you on this tutorial my favorite presentation. Sort of a left of center, sort of guides them one way and creates real curiosity. But it is something you can do at any time during a performance. Also on the tutorial, I'm going to be sharing with you a bunch of tricks you can do using just this, because this is so inherently dramatic by itself, right? And using just this, the perfect magic wand. Looks, sort of small but dramatic, and the fact that it's got a little bit of danger. Ouch, ouch. That pointy end works really well. Now, before we go any further, I want to double check my notes here to see anything else I wanted to mention off the top. I guess also to the fact that I was thrilled when I created this, because it does work with any standard design card case. Okay, not just bicycle, not just tally-ho, not just this. Any standard design card case. And by standard design, I mean you got two little flaps there, opens up on the side with a flap here. Standard design, stuff like that. Now, I should mention too that while, and so often is the case when creating stuff, is this has been many years, not many, but let's just say certainly a few years of work to nail this down. It took a long time first to get the exact size, because I really played with them, the tiny little edition. I had like 6 or 7 prototypes. The exact size was very important, but the weight of this took a while. It took several different prototypes to get the weight, because I wanted it to be light, but it also had to be, you'll see it had to have a certain amount of weight to it for the physics of the trick to work. Okay, so this took a while to develop. They are both manufactured 100% pure steel. I looked at other options, looked at tin, I looked at zinc, as weird as that sounds. But the steel meant that these are going to last your lifetime. Okay, they're really going to last, and they're the right weight and all that stuff. The one other thing I will mention is, and I'm not the most elegant of performers, the way I dress and talk to people, it's not exactly elegant and refined. But I did want these two to look, and they really do look elegant in a way, to bring an elegant air to your performance, at least for a few beats with this trick. Which is why I think it's so great as an opening trick or a closing trick, because there is an inherent elegance to these props as well. My right hand, as you can see, is absolutely empty. Okay. My left hand is absolutely empty. And just like that, I performed the secret move. Gravity. It's all about gravity, my friends. I hope you are going to be as thrilled with the ease of this trick as I have been every time performing. It's so sneaky. So, you've got your card case, you've got your flaps, okay? You've got this. You take this, and because of the weight of this, you put this in, okay? It's inside. You can have a deck of cards, of course, resting on top like that. The whole thing carried around. One of the cool things about heavy metal is it's optional. You're all set up, okay? At any point, you can open it up, take out your cards, boom, and go in to whatever you want to do with your pack of cards. The cards can be gimmick, the cards can be set up, whatever, but it's waiting in there for you. Because all I did is this is on top, okay, though I guess it could be on bottom, could be the other way, but this is typically how I do it. So there's the metal plate at the very bottom of the cards, right? This is closed over. Now, I open this up, okay? Now, when you open it up, you don't want it necessarily, you're not going to, you got to be a little careful. You don't want to open this up and maybe a funny light will get a flash. So, of course, it's facing you anyway. You open it up, right? Boom. I grab the cards and the metal plate with my thumb, and then once it's out a certain amount, it's very easy for me with my left thumb, for example. If I want to do, I slide the plate back a little bit, okay, and pull the rest of the cards out here like this. The plate stays behind, okay. I can close this up and put it on the table, or I can leave it open, okay, whatever I feel like. But when you close it, okay, you're going to close it with the metal plate below the flap, so it's there, okay. Now notice just a slight tip. And it slides. Look at this. And it slides, okay? Now, you will find, what I find is I do kind of break in the case a bit. For example, I give it a little bit of a bend here, like this, to make sure it's as user-friendly as possible. I will kind of make sure that I kind of shake it like this, to make sure you'll find because you might have a tiny paper or cardboard burr, a little catch here. You want to make sure that you don't have any of that in the way for the slide, okay? Now, performance, it's a bit of a ballet, right? It's a ballet of hands. So again, as an opening effect, you can take this out here like this. So I got that's on the other side here. You can open it up. I'll open it up like this, like I've said. Open it up. Take out the cards, and I'm going to pull. Again, you'll find you can push this with your thumb back inside with the right thumb. The left finger can pull this. You can even, if you want, with the tip of the nail of the left first finger, or the tip of the finger, really, you can hold the edge of this in place while you tip and everything slides out. So there's a few different ways to keep it inside, okay? Then you close the case, right? So this is waiting for you. You could hand these, as an opening effect, you take these out, hand them to someone, and say, would you do me a favor? Make sure those are ordinary cards, give them a shuffle, etc. And while they're doing that, you can head into the shocking trick as an opening effect, right? Now, you can say, watch very carefully. As you can see, my right hand is empty. Now, what I like to do is I come over, and with the first two fingers, I turn it over like this, and I show it both sides, okay? This is about as fair as you get. You do not want to flash the possibility of the metal there. That's why I don't even use one finger, okay? I have done it a few times, but two fingers is just as fair. It's just as fair looking, and actually a little less pronounced, maybe a bit awkward, so just the two fingers here showing it like this. And the sequence, though, the key sequence, is to take it over here, show the right hand absolutely, after showing both sides of this, you show the right hand absolutely empty, and you're going to take it like this. And I'll show you more advanced handling in a bit. But you're going to take it like this, totally natural. And while all focus is here, all you do is slightly tilt this. And note, you're going to pull the case out of the way, and by pulling it out of the way, it slid out. Okay, now you have to be careful. You don't want, because it has a weight, if you tip it for too long, there's always a chance of it coming out too far. Okay, and you don't want it coming out too far, right? So, showing case, right? Boom. Showing right hand, taking. And what you can do is you can curl a finger and the curled finger can act as a stop if you want, okay? Or even the base of the pinky can act as a stop so it doesn't come out too far out when you tilt your hand slit like this and show this. Now, if you listen carefully, you hear a slight slide but I listen in the studio here. is totally silent. You will never perform in a situation like this. And notice if I did find myself in a situation, I'd say nothing in my right hand. You can see there's nothing in my left hand, and my own voice covered the sound, and I'm all set up with this half sticking out, okay? Now, we're going to look further into this handling, what we do next, but notice too that you can also hold it with 2 fingers, okay? Have it slide and with 2 fingers, just with 2 fingers, okay? You can even readjust and hold it with just 1 finger, okay? I mean, that is super fair. And again, the key, once you slip this, the skewer, the pick, the cocktail sword, sort of through the middle of it, I always make a point of doing this. I turn the hand because I want people to see, not this that it looks like it's going through the middle from this side, but they can see it from this side. Now, so the angles on this might at first feel awkward, but it's super easy, okay? If you're standing and people are seated and you're a little concerned about the angles, you just lower this down to near the table, all right? If you're going to do the one edge hold, obviously you got to be real careful because look at the difference here. If I just do that, you're going to see it. And if I just do that, you're going to see it. So this is really only where I've done this, particularly is in a stand-up show, okay, or cocktail party where they're standing and I'm standing, so our eye levels are almost the same, and I'll literally do the trick right here, okay? But most of the time, I either use 2 fingers or, like I said, you're grabbing it like this. You've already shown your hands the case. Everything is undeniably fair. So when you hold it like this, that's totally natural, but with the hand now in this cupped position, concealing, now the angles are great, okay? Nobody on your right can possibly see it, okay? It is hidden by the back of the hand. On your left, okay, it's a little bit, but still, and what you do here, and a tip for you here, when you're here like this, you don't just hold this. As you do it, if you're in a cocktail party and people are close, just bring it back over here. Now, your chest, your shoulders are covering the angles so well, you can almost do this 360 degree, okay? So it may feel at first that the angles are a little challenging. They're not, okay? Especially, like I said, here's the real world, the real world pro grip, okay? Nobody can see anything. You've already shown all sides of the card case unequivocally. Both hands are empty, absolutely. Your sleeves are up. This is the kind of thing you could perform literally nude and astound people by doing this solid through solid penetration. Very cool that way. All right, so what's next? What do you do next? So you're here, okay? You introduce this. Somebody can examine that if they want. You're going to come over here. Now, what I've done, I'm going to show you something in just a second, though, is I've made a hole through the top of the case and the bottom. I want you to see exactly where they're running through. Okay, there. Okay? Through the top of the case and the bottom. Now you'll find over time the cardboard won't grip this. It's nice to be able to just show it hands off. But you'll find having stuck this through the case a number of times, it'll start to get smoother and smoother to such a point that the lovely weight at the top of the ball will actually, it'll drop down, okay? It's already starting to lose its grip there. It'll just drop down, which is fine. It just means that when you put it in, you're going to want to take a moment to show it with 1 thumb support. That's what I like to do, 1 thumb support. You can hold the top like this. That works too. But I kind of like the image of them being able to see the ball on top, okay? You're going to be able to show it like this, and you show it like this, and everybody can see. It doesn't look a little like it's going through the middle. It is clearly going through the middle of the case, okay? Which I love. Boom. Now, so the hole I've made, though, to be honest, it's not through the middle. It's actually, if this was the middle hole about here, maybe about 1/4 of an inch, maybe about 1/2 an inch, you do a little bit further this way. That gives you more room because if you just do it through the very center, notice this is going to be the situation. And the more the holes you make are that way on the case, the more this is going to have to be hidden in your hand, okay? Which means that if you're just starting out in Magic, maybe you've got a small hand. I have a tiny hand, I really do. But if you're just starting out in Magic and you're feeling a little comfortable about concealing that in your hand, you can always move the hole a little further down. It's not like, I mean, we're talking about something this big. It's the size of a playing card, okay? It completely fills the case, completely. Okay, so even if you didn't do the hole here, but you did the hole here or even a bit here, it's still pure magic. It's still impossibility. Okay, so don't sweat that. No matter where, whether you do dead center or slightly this way, everyone's going to swear it went through the exact middle anyway, right? Now, this move is easy. I'm going to show you in a second how you can hand it to people so they open up the case and how that flows so naturally with a natural gesture. So, I mean, there's no real sleights in this. It's wonderful that way. But one of the biggest challenges you're going to have in this, and probably hasn't even occurred to you, is in live performance. This is putting this through the hole on top is easy. It's finding the hole in the bottom. Now, I've practiced enough that it's pretty smooth for me. But you might want to make the holes a little bit bigger. If you make the hole in the top and the bottom a little bit bigger, it'll be that much easier for you to find the hole with the tip once it goes in the bottom of the case, because that's the challenge. You don't want to be doing this kind of action, okay? Because even when you eventually get it through, it draws all the suspicion and it'll make it look a lot less magical, a lot less surprising. What's he doing? Is there maybe something in the case after all? So, get a pencil, all right? Pencil's nice because it's really firm, but it tapers out. And that's what you want. You could take a nail, and that's another, I'm going to mention a few options of different things you can slip through the case that have different charm and drama and visuals. And you can take a nail right now, but I find if I take a pencil and I stick the pencil in the hole, and I very carefully find the point of the lead through the hole in the bottom of the case, and I turn it like this. I just twist it. What that allows me to do, twisting through, is now I'm starting to get a much bigger hole. Okay, a much bigger hole there. I turn it over the other way, put this through the bottom and the lead up through there as well. Okay, now, the one thing you gotta do now though is because you've pushed bits of cardboard up in this, you gotta be careful this isn't gonna maybe catch on it, okay, at any point. So you just put your finger in there and really press these and press between thumb and finger, really flatten those out, thumb and finger. You'll find if you either press or actually pull them around to the sort of around to the edge of the circle, whatever little bits of the cardboard, smooth those out inside the case. Now you're in a very easy performance situation, okay? Because this still slides, this will still slide very neatly, okay? Still slides very neatly both out and back in, all right? But when it comes to the all-important time, okay, all-important time to find that hole in the middle, you're here, okay, I'm all set up here. I got this here, okay, that's hidden. I'm here. Now I can very easily take this, okay, put it down, and I can very quickly find the second hole. Now, when you've made it bigger like that, though, it does mean that you can't let go of this unless you want that dramatic drop, which is kind of funny. Kind of cool. Watch me put it down through. Now you might think to yourself, is it really going down through the middle? So watch. I want you to see it really is going down through the very middle. I mean, that's so convincing. Okay, so how do we finish? What's the final move? The final move is this. We take this out here, right? Ask the spectator, do me ever hold your hand for me? I turn this over and put it right on the palm. That's it. Trick's done. So elegant. And all I've done, and again, let me show you a couple different ways. It's all about what feels comfortable for you. You could either say, hold out your hand, and as you're coming back here, fingers underneath, right? With your fingertips, keeping this horizontal to the floor, I'm just going to squeeze, I'm just going to slide this in while I move it over. Okay? There's no action, there's no flashing. They've just seen this undeniably go up and down through the very middle of the case, and a second later, you have a crazy surprise waiting right inside. A solid steel plate that fills the case. No sleight of hand, looked amazing. Or you can do the same action, but to cover it even more, you can do a turnover action. So again, this is just, I'm going to come over here like this. I'm going to put my fingers here. I'm going to squeeze the fingers. I'm going to slide it inside as I turn it over and hand it to somebody, okay? Now, notice you can turn it over and say, but listen, can you hear something inside? And now you've got an action, okay? If you're nervous at all at this point, boom, you take this out here. You're here like this. Between this and this action, if you're a little worried about someone hearing it sliding back inside, again, it's silent here in the studio. No one's going to hear it, and you're talking. But if you are, you can come over, squeeze, and immediately start to shake, and that perfectly covers the action. You can hear there's something inside, okay? Now, let me warn you about a couple things. If you do a turn, okay, and you put it on someone's hand, they might see at this point a little bit of the metal. here, through that, at that point, right on the hand, right? They'll feel the weight and they feel the metal. That means nothing to people. Don't get caught thinking like a magician. They don't even know what's in the case. No one's going to see a little bit of that flashing and immediately think, oh, I bet that's a solid steel plate that fills the case. It's the last thing they're going to think of. They just saw this jabbing through. They're not going to think, I bet that was a solid steel case. And maybe I don't know, it's some sort of weight thing. He had it. I mean, they're not going to think any of that, right? They're just maybe going to see a little glimpse of this, which is just fine. So don't sweat it, all right? Alternatively, if you're worried about that, you'd rather, whatever, if you want to make sure. So do the other technique, which is to come over, like I said, close it, and don't put it flat in their hand. What you say is you hold out your hand here, and that flows so nicely, saying to someone, would you do me a favor? What I want you to do is hold your hand for me like this, because you can hear there's something inside. Then you come back, open the flap for them, and leave it there. Do it very dramatically. Now, when I'm doing 1, 2, a couple, 4 or 5 people in a bar, walk around, gig, talk, cocktail party, fine. If I'm going to do this for a bigger group, if I'm going to do this for 8, 10, 12 people, then I absolutely, after removing the cocktail sword, boom. After removing the, this is slid out, boom. After removing the cocktail sword, I'll say, boom, it's an optical illusion. I said, but it also fools your ears, because when I put it through, you didn't hear anything. And yet now, when I snap my fingers, your ears are starting to work again. Yeah. Because listen, you can all hear inside. So I say that. Then in front of everybody, very carefully. If you rush this, people are going to have crazy theories, because you're about to show them something that makes no sense in this world. So they're going to rush to theories. And if you rush it, they'll think that was the moment that he somehow did something, right? So you want to be really careful. Then I open this up, and now, okay, I can perform this for 25 people, because now I can show my hand, and this is the key. This is a really important point I'm going to tell you to right now. Do not rush taking this out, because the moment this is out, it's just a memory now. It's just a memory that this was inside the case. Was it really inside the case? Was he concealing it somewhere? Did he have it in his hand? You know how they are. So you want to make sure they have as much video, live personal memory video, of seeing something in the case, and this is the most important, one of the most important images of the entire trick. This through the case, absolutely, both this side and that side, showing the 2 sides, okay? Those are 2 of the 3 important pictures. This is the 3rd picture. You want people to really see this, which is why it's really cool. Even sometimes I've done this and I said, look, I'm going to leave it right there. You can all see it's been inside the case the entire time. Would you please remove it? Then you get the best of both worlds. You get a spectator involvement, which makes everything real for people, clarifies the effect, but you also give everyone a chance to see it there. Okay? So there you have it. That's the primary handling with the little subtle points I shared with you about whether you wanted to go for the real world simple hold, or whether you want to go for the 2 finger on the side here, or even the 1 finger, okay? I mean, certainly if you're going to share it with your magician friends, okay, you really want to fry them, do the 1 finger, and just, be very clear with that, and that's a killer way to go with that. It'll take just a little bit of practice, the kind of thing, as they say, you do it in front of the mirror, and you'll fool yourself. A big part of magic is acting. The more you believe, the more they believe. And, all the elements are here for you to really believe the idea that this steel, that this steel cocktail skewer is going through, okay? All the elements are there. So the more you can kind of forget about the fact that you easily had the steel plate slide to the side, the more you can forget that. Just focus on the impossibility of this image. The more your audience will join you in that extremely important and powerful belief. I love performing this unforgettable effect with the steel skewer, okay? I just think it's perfect, and it's elegant, and it's got a little bit of danger, as I mentioned, and all that kind of thing. I really think it's perfect. And it's a great magic wand. Carrying this around as a magic wand, I think is perfect too in lots of ways. However, there are other items you can use with this instead of just this skewer for this impossible, really magical penetration effect. But before I jump into those ideas, I wanted to share with you one of my favorite ways to present this, real simply, okay? You got it all set to go here, and you say to someone, and you remove the cards, you say, I'm going to show you something right now that is absolutely impossible. You shouldn't be able to do this, okay? And yet it's going to happen. It's absolutely impossible, okay? So watch very carefully. Watch. One eye on my right hand if you want, okay? One eye on the case and one eye on my left hand. And of course, just like that, I've secretly done the move there. Okay, you're there. Notice too, when you first practice, you're going to tip this like this, and it'll make more sound. But you can also just tip it a little bit, and it just slowly slides. I want to see if I can show you, expose it to you here. It just slowly slides out, okay? As opposed to it making more sound. So when you have enough practice, you'll find that you can do it almost without, I mean, even in a silent room, without it making any noise, because it's more of a quiet sliding than more of a quicker falling, okay? So you'll get that down, number one. Number two, so I'm going to show you something that makes no sense. It's absolutely impossible. Watch. Watch. Okay, you saw me take the cards out of this case just a moment ago. And yet, look, examine it. It's a solid steel skewer, okay? Look, this is impossible. Watch. Look at that. Totally impossible. I mean, first you agree that that's going through the middle of the case. They say, yes, it is. They say, isn't that amazing? I mean, that makes no sense whatsoever that went right through the middle of this case. It's impossible. They kind of look at you like you're crazy. Yeah. It's impossible, especially when you consider that inside the card case, there is a solid steel plate. So that presentation psychologically works so well. It gets them on board, instantly creates impossibility. I'm going to show you something that makes no sense. It's absolutely impossible. And then you show them something that makes perfect sense. It makes perfect sense because, well, this is clearly going through the middle of it. It's going through the middle of it. That's not impossible at all. It's an empty cardboard box. There's nothing impossible about that. So it's a great way to pull them in. And immediately they're questioning. And they're questioning because all their assumptions reinforce the impossibility of what's happening in a moment. So first you say it's impossible, and then there's the reveal of it's impossible because, and the reveal works on two levels. It works on level one, you're literally revealing the steel plate inside, right? And level two, it works because you're revealing why it really is impossible, because this steel plate and they shouldn't be able to pass through each other. Okay, so that's definitely one of my favorite ways to present this. You can also present this in total silence, remember. Someone shuffling the cards, examine the cards. Take this out, right? Let's get this set up here, sorry. Take this out, boom. Show it. Total silence, right? Take it. Down through. And only now say, hold out your hand, which they do. Listen, inside, then they can hear inside. Something's inside. So going from total silence, that part, to here, and then asking them to open, they find it inside, okay? I've done it with people where I don't even I just hand it to them, and I do not say a word, and they pull it out, and so often they'll pick this up, and you can just see them go, what? I've even had people, silly as it sounds, do this kind of thing, as if somehow that together this is going to pass through this or something like that. So that's a fun presentation. Now I mentioned earlier, there are other things rather than skewer, okay? Really, anything, think about it, anything, you've got about half the case, or a solid third of the case, anything that you could push through here, you could do this. So, for example, you could use a pen, okay? You can use a pen, very organic, down to earth, okay? Rather than doing something elegant, you could keep the whole thing really organic and down to earth and use a pen, right? You can do a pen, you can do a pencil, of course. You could do a pocket knife. Very dramatic. Have someone examine, open the pocket knife. You can take that, stick it down through a slit you've already made there, and they can see the point down here. Remove the pocket knife. That's nice and dramatic and visual. You could do your business card. Okay, I know for some of you real workers who use business cards, notice if you make a slit, again, you wouldn't do it right in the middle, but a little over this way. Make a slit. Just enough, okay? Maybe it's more of a slot, because again, you don't want to have this fiddling time, right? You're going to make a bit of a slot on the top, bit of a slot on the bottom. You can take your business card, right? Say it's put it down through, goes down through, show it on all sides, remove your business card, and then the steel plate comes out. Okay, very cool and a great way to introduce your business card, right? And finally, you can use, I like this. I actually workshopped this for a bit. This is still, for me, this is the way to go, but everyone's got different styles. Half a playing card, get a joker, tear it in half. And this image of taking half a torn joker, commenting that somebody got frustrated with a trick, and taking half a card and pushing it down through, reminds me of cutting a woman in half on stage, has the slat that goes down first, then you can remove that, and then of course you hand everything out to be examined. So those are a few other options apart from the steel skewer. As I mentioned earlier on this instructional video, I'm now going to share with you a couple of really cool tricks you can perform, okay, using just the steel skewer and the steel plate, all right? So many cool things you can do with these two, not together, but this independently or the steel plate independently. So what you've done here is you've just taken this, right, and you've stuck it through, where's that? Oh, there we go. Tiny hole, and you could even use a smaller, significantly smaller envelope would probably get an even better reaction. Take a dollar bill, fold it up into eighths, and slip this into the very middle of it with the skewer there. That's a nice way to do it too. So you're here like this. You can even really sell the idea, right? If I start like this. So I got a paper clip on here, and this is, you gotta be careful, this is in my pocket, but look how good that looks. This is actually sticking out of there. So now, I love using an envelope like this. It really isolates and really emphasizes how small you're opening it up like this. And now, you don't want to hurt yourself, but if you pull down on the envelope a little bit while pushing up, you actually can kind of feed it up inside, okay? So your fingers can now grab this. You're reaching in, okay, at this point. You're pulling this out, and they just saw, and you need to pause again here, they just saw you unfold, and take a look at that. Is that in fact a solid steel cocktail skewer? And they can examine that, okay, which is really cool. So it started this small, man, and then of course out it comes. So that's a really pretty way, and you don't necessarily have to then go into the heavy metal routine at all. So that's one idea, okay? Notice too, when it comes to productions, just pulling this out of your fist, I noticed that there's the old cigarette vanish where you can have this, okay? And it looks like you push this into the hand and it's gone. I mean, that looks really pretty. Got that there. I've kind of done this on the fly a bunch of times for people. Gets a lovely reaction. And the ball at the end of this really makes it very easy for this to do what it needs to do, which is to pivot back into the hand. That's where it's going. It's pivoting back, okay? I'm just pushing. Now you don't, obviously, and as I'm pushing it too, so it's pivoting back, but it's also, so it's coming, the fingers stay straight here, but it's, let's get this angle. It's going back into the hand. So as I push it, here's the exposed view, it's going there. As I push it, okay, and you want to add a little bit of right to left momentum, not just neutral, because that's, there I'm basically neutral. It looks like the two hands are coming together. What I want to really sell is the idea that this is going from this hand into this hand. So as I push it, okay, and because of the ball, it neatly sort of levers back inside or swings, I push it and move a little to the left, okay, not too far, not like that. But it's sort of, here it is on my right, and now it's going in there. And that little bit of action from right to left really sells the idea. Now notice, this is too big to even in my small hand. Your hand might be a bit bigger, okay? And there's no way, I mean, what are you suggesting there? But it's magic, it's convincing enough that for a beat you have this, it goes here, and then it's gone, and this is held here. You'll find with practice, you go from the two fingers and the thumb, it's going on here, and then if you just relax, if you support it lightly with the middle finger, you get this nice loose, okay? So the thumb can come away, which is, so you're here, it comes away, and this is, when you put something in it, person puts it in the hand, this gesture of coming away, thumbs off, fingers, you don't do this. Nobody puts a thing in there and says, okay, now. I mean, this is crazy. So it's still relaxed. So it really can look like putting it in the hand and boom, it's gone. Okay, you could obviously you could take it and put it in here like this, and it's actually under your elbow there, or here like this, and actually jumps all the way back into the pocket where you just took it out of. So that's pretty. Flip Helma has a beautiful move called flip stick, a flip move. And it looks like this thing just vanishes into the air, okay? And you're applying pressure, not with the free, you're holding it here, but then pressure on this, and you're resisting the pressure with these fingers. So pressure is built up, and so that once you eventually let it clear, it snaps, boom, okay? I hold it between the two fingers and thumb, and it's gonna, the tip's gonna come away from below the thumb. It's gonna come away, it's gonna flip from below the thumb, okay? Pressure from middle finger, below the thumb, boom, okay? And it's great because it snaps back, but the position of the fingers barely changes. So that means I can show this and do a downward gesture. The hands are going to mirror each other, downward up. And again, because I'm holding it there, you get this really nice illusion of it going and vanishing into thin air. Works beautifully with something so small, but you can do it with pens and pencil and all that stuff. So one idea I had with that is I got the card case, okay? It's there, standing up, right? Then I have this, I'm gonna do that move here as I come down. And what's kind of fun, after a beat, you could blow on it, like this. There we go. If you wanted, but just the idea of taking this down through, okay? So it looks like it vanishes, but then of course you can open this up, and as I open it up, I'm gonna slide my two fingers underneath, just holding the case here, okay? Come over here, take it, now I've got it with my thumb at the back, and I'm gonna reach in and pull this out. What's cool is a kicker, apparently comes out from inside, but of course, it can't even fit inside, so you have a hidden kind of kicker there. More of an unbroken performance here is this. You're here like this, you're down like that, you're coming over here like this, holding it, and then pulling it out from behind, coming out from behind, okay? So vanishes, appearances, make it vanish, appear inside the card case. That's one thing you can do with it. Here's a crazy optical illusion I created many years ago, but it works really well with this. You're going to clip the coin. $50 works really great here. Bigger the coin, better. Clip it between the two fingers, okay? Now the thumb is here, and notice where the thumb is. It's not the back, okay? It's not the front. It's really on the edge, but also I'm pushing it forward a little bit. So that's the grip there. And what that allows me to do is I can take this, tap, and put it down. It looks and even sounds, listen to the sound here. The ball really sells the idea of this thing somehow. So, great magic wand, make things vanish, boom, okay, like this. Take it, come over, make it reappear. There's lots of little, between this and this, you could do the striking vanish, David Williamson's brilliant technique, all these different things. But in there somewhere to suggest that the coin is actually not that solid, that the coin, you can't see it, but it actually breaks into small pieces, and I can come over here and put the pieces back together, whatever. If you're going to sell the idea that the coin isn't quite as solid as it seems, well, this is a perfect place to take this. So the exposed view is I'm going to tap once, twice. Then I'm going to tap it and let this fall, and the grip is here. I'm holding the skewer between thumb and finger, and this is flipped back. It's almost like a shelf there now. And when I drag it, it's going to drag directly, and then listen to this as it comes back. So this is fully supporting. The thumb is allowed to be loose. That's the key here. Okay? Now, if I hold the hand down the entire time, they're going to see this, and then they're going to see this, which kind of exposes it. But if I tilt the hand just slightly, okay, you get this nice illusion. And I've got some beautiful responses from this, where it goes down, tilt the hand up, and through. Okay, so that's a coin thing. I love that little bit of business. Definitely a closer, no. An opener, maybe, especially if you borrow the coin. So we did that one. We did the tiny envelope. We talked about using it as a magic wand. We did the flip move and things. This is cool. Use it as a switch. And this is something I've played with a bunch of times. I've got a small piece of paper here with the word impossible printed on, okay? Fold it a few times. Put this through like this. Now, this is a pretty opening effect, okay? You're like this. I mean, look at that. I mean, I love the theater of that. It could mean so much, okay? This can be a prediction. This could be anything, okay? I have a second one. It's no holes in this one. So as I come over here, and apparently you want it to look like you come over, grab this, and pull this up and off. What I actually do is I come over, okay? And either right hand or left hand, whatever works better for you, is the thumb is going to jam this down behind the fingers, all in one kind of action, okay? So let's pretend I'm going to use the right hand. So I can show this here, come over here, and apparently remove it off, okay? Looks exactly as it should, all right? Again, this actually is based on a very old ring and spoon routine. You might be familiar with mine. So I'm here, okay, right here. I come over and I pull it off. Okay. The key here, now, what are the techniques here? I'm coming over, and with my left thumb, I'm just going to jam this son of a gun, okay? I'm just coming over here, under cover of the fingers, jam this down. You could either do it this way, but I find it easier that way. I'm going to jam it. I'm going to sort of take it, push it down a little bit, and these fingers are going to readjust. The key is you'll find you're going to get this underneath. Now, if this were a slight moment where high intensity, okay, watch me very carefully, then a little bit of fumbling might make people suspicious. But as an opening trick, you say, here, take a look at that, but do not remove that. Does that seem like a solid steel cocktail skewer? Is it? It is solid. Don't even draw attention to the fact that this is skewered on, okay? And then you're here, right? You're just coming over and removing this, and this is in finger palm, right? So you're just coming, and now you could have it in clip. If you want to keep it even more, make it look even more natural, you could be here like this, and so it's just now in clip. Okay, a little bit more angly, but looks really great. You're here like this. Then you're going to come over here, like I said, just slide this up and off like this. Okay, would you hold that for a second? Or you take it off like this. This goes to pocket, so it comes off. This goes right to pocket, okay? So it is out of play or inside jacket pocket. Your focus is here the entire time, inside jacket breast pocket. Coming here, you do this. Lean in. What's he doing? They have no clue, which I love. They just know he's doing something interesting. And now they see there's no hole. We know it was skewered. We saw it was skewered. And of course, without having to say a word, you can then show that, well, I guess in that case, it's what happened is impossible. And you can give that even as a way. These cost you nothing. You print off a whole bunch of your home computer, step and whatever. But what a great thing to leave behind to really emphasize. Or as an opening effect, boom, it comes out. You can still go into heavy metal. So that is something as well. Last thing I wanted to share with you about this, again, a very old idea here, old bit called the Ginsberg poke. I know, it's kind of provocative, but no. Works great with pens and pencils. Also works great with this. A great way to do a magic wand thing. Say it's a magic wand. What do you mean it's a magic wand? Look, I'll prove it to you. Shuffle the cards. They shuffle the cards. They can hold it like this, or you can take it back and you can say, look, and you're just going to take it, push it on the side like this. Boom, like that, okay? And like this. And what you want to make sure, it's okay if a little bit is sticking up, but you want to make sure, ideally, that one lump is clearly ahead of the other little step, okay? Don't sweat the details on this. Sometimes people push it, you get a perfectly clean step. Other times there'll be But the cool thing here is what a great and cool way for someone to take a peek of a card in the middle of the deck under test conditions, right? They shuffle the deck. They can come on over here and they take a little peek of the card, right? Just like that. Super fair. And you can easily find their card in just a couple of seconds from a shuffled deck, even though they stick this anywhere in, because it's a peek. It's a very cool peek. I know the card they just saw is below the Jack of Clubs. I know that, okay? I can go through, lots of ways to reveal this, whatever, but once I see the Jack of Clubs, I know their card's below that. Now, how do you do it? They shuffle the deck. This is so clever. I fool magicians with this because it's a very old bit. They push through, okay, pushing out there. Now, they're going to look at the top one here. Say, take a look at that. And all I have to do is, I'm going to say, take a look at that. I'm not even going to look. I'm going to look the other way. And I'm already done. I've done all the secret work. Because your perspective as the magician is there. Once you see right there, just a glimpse, the Ten of Hearts, the Ten of Hearts is directly above whatever card they're about to see. So it becomes a key card, right? So they're here, but look how fair. You do this, take a peek at it. I don't want to see it. I immediately see the 10. They take a little peek like that. Boom, like this. You've seen a card. And notice you can do it after the fact, too. Take a peek, super fair, and you'd say, would you agree that you stuck it in anywhere you wanted? And just like this, I got a direct view. Anywhere you wanted, push that back in like this. Ask them to take the cards. You're good to go. To notice, too, if they cut the cards, ask them to cut the cards a few times. They cut the cards, they cut the cards. No matter how many times they cut the cards, the card below the key card is going to be theirs. Don't get confused. You go, well, what happens if he cuts between the key card? That doesn't change anything, okay? If I know the card below the Jack of Hearts, whatever it is, okay, and I think of it as a circle, this confuses people sometimes, okay? If I know, for example, so I know the card below the Jack of Hearts, in this case, it is the Five of Clubs, okay? It's their card, I know that. If they cut the cards and they happen to cut between the two, Okay, so the Jack of Hearts ends up on the bottom of the deck. That's fine, because I know that, given that it's a circle, I know their card is the one below it, which in a sense is the top card. So I know their card is on top. So if they ever cut the pack and you see your key card on the bottom, you're in a very cool position because they just cut their card at the top of the deck without saying anything. You can take the wand, have them tap it, turn over your card, and then don't perform another trick that show. That's incredible. Okay, so that's the Ginsburg poke. There's a bunch of stuff you can do using just the steel skewer. Now, here are some ideas, some magic effects you can do, some very cool visual stuff, where you're not going to use the skewer independently, but you're going to use this, there's so many, you're going to use this metal plate. It's a fascinating thing. There's so many different ideas. I probably have about 20 different ideas, but I'm going to share with you now just a handful of ones that I think are the coolest, all right? Love that sound. It really sells the idea. I even dropped this on a bar table or on a on a bar to really sell the idea after the that this is metal. I mean, it sounds great, right? Great to use audio to really underscore the impossibility of something you've just done. Love the crisscross force, and this is perfect, Have someone pick a card, any card, they shuffle the deck, they're thinking of a card. You got the color, you got the color. Did you get a suit? You got a color, suit, the whole thing. Okay, so you're thinking of a playing card, shuffled cards, whatever. And just like that, I've controlled their card at the top of the deck, right? Using a peek, they peek at any card. I'm keeping a little pinky break there. If I want to transfer, I want to get this. Now, if I just cut this, I get it to the bottom of the deck. That's fine. If I want to get to the top of the deck, I have to transfer the break by one card. So I come over, I spread out the cards and say, did you see one? You saw, and I'm kind of surprised they saw one so quickly, right? You saw the color, okay. But did you see the suit or the number, the value? They go, yeah. I go, okay. And in spreading, I just transfer the break from below the card to above it, and now square the cards and just double undercut, right? Just cut the cards. And you control the card at the top of the deck. Now I'm going to use the crisscross force, okay? Now, if I start by saying, have you heard of this? This is called telepathic metal. It seems like ordinary metal, but it's on a very high frequency. It's metal that's set to an unusually high frequency. Of course, it's just crap, what you're saying, but what do you mean the metal is set to a high frequency? Well, everything vibrates, right? And of course, it's very subtle. I mean, everything's vibrating, however, slightly. You don't feel it, and you can't feel this, right? But it's actually set to a higher frequency. It'll apparently, sort of like a tuning rod or tuning fork to pick up your thoughts. What is this? But it totally sets it up. So, they're holding on to that. Then I say, peek at a card, they call stop, they peek at a card, in this case, the 5 of spades. I said, did you get a card? You got a color to suit the whole thing. So you're thinking of one of the cards in the middle of the deck, all right? While you're holding on to that, okay, you've been doing that while you've been holding on to it. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to reach over, lift off about half the cards. They lift off about half the cards, put them right there, and say, can I have that? Okay, I'm going to put that right there between the two halves, right where you cut, okay? Now, this is where you need a time lapse. So you could choose to have them hold on to this. I'll tell you what that is in a second. Have them peek at a card. Now put it there. You cut wherever you wanted, right? And only now you get your time lapse and say, I don't know if you noticed, you get focus off there because you don't want people to remember where the cuts were. Because in a second, you want to make sure they have the strong impression that they cut anywhere they wanted and they slipped it there, not that you moved the 2 packets, right? And crisscross force is one of these things. If you've ever used it and done it with confidence and pulled focus away for a beat, came back, it fools people every single time. So this is awesome. Shuffle deck. They think of any card, they're holding it. Now that's there, and now of course you can come back and say, now you do the bit about the frequency, the metal, everything's moving, and you held on to this while you cut the pack and while you were thinking of your card. Let's see. You come over here. Let me raise this to the camera so you can see here. You dramatically lift this up, okay? Or you could even come over here and kind of pull down on the ends of this, which will pop that up like this. Anywhere like this, and then they show right directly below with the one card, the card they were thinking of, okay? Now, you could have kept it on the bottom, notice, so that's here. You wouldn't have had the other cut just from the peak, cut it to the bottom, and left it there, no transfer, right? And now, as opposed to it being the card below, you can lift this up and just show it's the card. So that works. Notice you can do 2 cards, right? You can have 2 selections, and as long as you control one to the top and one to the bottom, right? Now, they can cut wherever they want. They put them over there. You've got this here and this here, and what's really cool about this now you can reveal one card there, remove this, and reveal another card here. Almost suggests that this, not only did they find it, but this helped attract the two cards together, right? So that's another thing you can do with this. Another switch, real direct, because what I wanted people to be able to do is select a card, put it back in the deck, they can shuffle the cards, whatever they want, and then they slip this directly anywhere they want, spread out the cards to where they did, you want to change your mind, they don't, and the card directly beside it is their card. It's the card there. I was thinking that'd be cool. And so here what I can do, of course, is let's say, for example, they grab any card, they grab a card, okay, put it back in among the cards, okay, and I've culled it to the bottom. As long as you get their selection to the bottom of the deck here, you're cool. Because now they slip it through. And look at this sleight here. Now, this is not an easy sleight, okay, but it looks perfect. Where they slip it in, they could have changed their mind, you come to this point, you separate this, and now you turn over that, and it's actually their card. And so what I'm doing here is a bottom turnover based on my Wichita switch move, okay? I'm going to push it off. Got lots of natural cover here. I want it to look like I'm turning over that, okay? But I'm going to push off the bottom card. This is called, this is a buckle. I'm going to pull the bottom card to my left, not to my right, okay? Pull it to my left, in towards my hand, buckling it at the back. But what that means is it's very definitely separate from all the other cards in the pack. Push this off as it comes. So slow motion. Here, buckling bottom, then pushing it, I want you to see it, pushing it over just past the edge of the card. And as the left thumb pulls this back, the hand fingers are now contacting the right fingers here. And you get this nice dramatic broad gesture of turning over. Okay? So it looks, I mean, they can slip their card. Get that back in there. They slip the metal card, the psychic card, whatever you want to call it there. They slip it anywhere they want in the pack. Boom, they slip it in there, right? You spread through, and it looks exactly like the card directly below theirs is, in fact, their selected card. Okay, so that's another cool revelation you can do. What do we got here? Oh, this is kind of fun. Kind of cool. You can use this. You can use this as a kind of magic wand where they hold the corner. Would you take me? And this is not ordinary metal. This is actually psychic metal or whatever, telepathic metal, telepathic steel. Would you take a hold of it and hold on? But the key here is, if you hold it too firmly, you're going to prevent it from working. I want you to hold it as lightly as you can from the very tip of it. Tippy, and that, of course, gets everybody sort of attuned to something crazy going to be happening here, okay? Or you could have them hold it just between the thumb and the finger, very lightly, please, very carefully. I don't want you to throw me off for the rest of the gig, ma'am. Now what you can do is, as you go through, with just the corner of it, they're going to ask them to touch cards as you spread along. So you spread along and they touch one of those. Spread along, they touch another. Spread along, they touch another. And they touch another, okay? And you say, okay, when we're going through, were you thinking of anything in particular, anything at all? I say, no. Do you have any idea the colors or the suits or, of any of the four cards? And you could have touched any of these. They go, no. You say, I think you'd agree, though. It's pretty amazing. Wow, you did a great job. I mean, you found a king, and another king, and another king, and another king. And that's just beautiful. That's a really magic, clear. I've been using, this is Vernon's Substitute Transfer. I've been using it with magic wands and finding four of a kind for a long, long time. I think it's just so pretty. And the technique's not hard. They're on the bottom, the four kings, okay? Could be three selections, three selected cards. Could be a closer in your show. Pick a card, pick a card. You have to control them to the bottom. But once everything's on the bottom, you spread out. They touch a card, they touch a card, they touch a card. Notice what I'm doing here. I'm forward jogging or out jogging four cards. You square them up. The hand comes over, and pinky on the first finger and pinky on one side, and you square them. You want them nice and... Now, as you get down, as I say to them, so were you thinking of anything when you touch these? I look down and I see the bottom four cards over here. Nobody notices, though. I'm looking here, but I'm actually looking over there. And as I close up here and start to adjust these cards, I now have a break above the bottom four cards. That's the key. Right? I'm going to tilt them here like this. And I'm going to pull these four out. I'm coming over, and it's going to look like I pull these out, which I do. But I take these other four along for the ride. Okay? They come along. No, there's nothing to see here. There's underneath. I pull these out. So I've got 8 cards in my hands for a moment. And I'm going to use my right pinky and my left pinky to, again, keep the 2 packets separate. Right? So I pull forward action, come back here. I'm going to grab the 4 on top, under the deck with my tip of my middle finger and thumb. I'm grabbing those as I turn the deck, as I turn these forward over, or I could put them down like that, right? Or as I did in performance with you guys the first time, is I then turn these over. Large action covers the switch. Spread these out. You could touch any one. And, I wonder which one. Do you have any sense of the colors? What do you think the value? Nobody's thinking I got a 4 of a kind yet, unless you're a magician. Non-magicians, they just saw you 4 random cards. They're going to come up to speed quickly, but not quite yet. Spread them out, and you could do this, then this. Now they're going to get ahead of you, which can be dramatically nice. Or you can do this and go, man, you did an amazing job, and reveal all 4 at the same time, okay? Now, so that's a few things here. I was playing around with this thing, and I realized I can use this old turnover technique. I think you'll agree that it looks to all the world like I'm showing you one side and the other, right? There's the top side, and there's the other side. But it's a switch. What I'm actually doing, this works so well with this piece of steel, is I'm laying it, I'm putting my thumb, this is where it's here, but you need to get the thumb underneath, just the tip. And I'm going to pull the fingers, pull back, the thumb pushes forward. That's the small action. The larger action is the hand turning over. So you're seeing this side twice. Now, I like this technique, sort of a quick casual turn while the left fingers hold, taking the side every time. You can go too far with it, of course, okay? But I also like, for a larger audience, showing this and that. Looks very fair. They get a sense of the top and the bottom. And you wouldn't say, ideally, let me show you both sides of this. You wouldn't say that. You just sort of say, here's something, okay? And your actions speak, which means that there can be anything on the other side, okay? So I was playing around with this, and I realized, wait a second, if what I do is have a paperclip here, if I were really turning this over, okay? If I were really turning over, the paperclip would go from this end over to that end, okay? It would be on this side, and then it would be on that side. And I realized that when I do the move, the exact same thing happens. It goes from one end to the other. So it's actually a convincer. The paperclip is a convincer, which I love. So I can take this out of my pocket, okay? Like this, okay? And say, figure out a way I don't have to go to the bank machines anymore. Yeah, I got a bank card here. Yeah, look at this. What's great about this is whenever I want to make a withdrawal, all I have to do is push it through my hand, and I get some money. So it's a really cool visual and a really fun way to open, okay? Now, of course, if you're going to expose the plate, you wouldn't do this in conjunction with heavy metal or penetration. Totally independent, okay? So it's a folded bill there, and don't get confused, please, or concerned if the loop is a bit small there, and it's still a bit small, and then here, when you push it through, I'm doing the Vernon's push through the fist move, okay? So we're doing our technique here, and then when we want to reveal it, we turn the hand over like before, but we're going to push it here. We're going to turn the hand over, hold it just like this, turn the hand over and push through. Now, Vernon's push through the fist move was a cool move because you also can make it look like pushing it through once, pushing it through twice, and then on this one you do but I think this is far more convincing, showing this piece of steel, right? And then you push it through. Okay, you can have a dollar bill appear. You can have a dollar bill appear. You can have your folded business card appear. You can have what else can we have appear? We can have a prediction appear from nowhere, right? I love the visuals on this, where you're here like this, okay? So you're thinking of a playing card, you got one card in mind. You could have them even, this could have been in the card case the whole time. You're thinking of a card, it's a steel plate. Now watch, keep an eye on it. I want you to see here, just like this. Boom. And this prediction appears out of nowhere, or you can even print, kind of like this. Psychologically, I like this, where you take this out with it there, right? Okay? And you can lay this down, and even though it's off the ground by a little bit off the table, everyone assumes it's the clip. So don't sweat that stuff, okay? You're here, take this off, show that it's totally blank. It's absolutely blank on both sides. So rather than making the prediction appear, which is rather than making the actual physical prediction appear, they see it was blank, you slip it under the under here like this. Okay, we'll just adjust this like this then. Slip it underneath like that, all right? There. They see it go underneath like that, and you go, watch, keep an eye on that. Now, I'm literally just going to do Vernon's push through the fist move, which is if I leave it on the fingers here, and I close my hand around it, and I push through, it stays on the same side. There's no switch, okay? But if I put it instead of on the fingers, if I put it a bit on the edge of the palm, now when I turn it over, it's not going to stay on the same way up. It's going to turn over, okay? So I can do this, say, watch, concentrate, push it through, and it looks like nothing's changed, but I've switched it secretly in full view with no slides. So now I can do this, remove this here, hand this to someone. I can now remove the clip, and removing the clip and putting the clip in my pocket, get rid of the duplicate. And even though they just examined this folded piece of paper a moment ago, now impossibly 3 hearts have appeared, nothing too dramatic, but kind of eerie and mystical, right? And everything can be examined. So that's another very cool idea you can do using just the steel plate. Here are 2 final thoughts, especially if you're going to perform the heavy metal effect in a stand-up show, because you could have it set up in your case. You got a case right there. You could have it set up like this, right? With the steel plate already sticking off to the side and the skewer already going through. So if that's in your case off to the side, you can then say, I'm going to show you something that makes no sense whatsoever. Watch very carefully. Go over your case, right? Both hands go into the case, you grab it, and you bring it out, and you're already set to go. Watch very carefully. You can see it clearly. It's running through the middle. You can remove that like that. You do the turnover like this, show your hands absolutely empty, and then show the inside of the steel plate. So that's kind of a cool, different approach that's already set up, okay? It's got its pluses and minuses on that approach. And the final idea I want to suggest to you, and this would require probably an in-the-case switch. Again, if you're doing a stand-up show, kind of fun. I've only done this a few times, but is what I do is after I open the case and reveal this and leave them, there's that beautiful sound with the steel plate and this to examine and this to, once they've examined that, okay, what I'll do is I will go back to, I'll take this, I'll start to put away things, okay? Like I grab this steel plate, I lean over, put that away, and when I lean over and put it away, I switch cases for a case with no holes. Then I take this and I say, this is actually a magic wand. I'd say, you may not believe, but look at this. Do me a favor here. Hold your hand. I put the case. Nobody notices there are no holes in the case. Now I do this like this. I say, I think you'll agree the only thing more impossible than this having impossibly penetrated that steel plate is if I could turn the case and make it go back in time. Okay? And you wave it like this, going back in time. You could even kind of bring the image of going back to time, to life by twisting this, going back 10 seconds, 20 seconds, 3 minutes, 4 hours. Back to before I even put this through the case, back to when the case had no holes in it. And have them lift their hand and they discovered that the case now has no holes in it whatsoever. Okay, you could use this image too. If you've just done the switch, this is a magic wand, wave it like this, they're not sure what's going to go on, say, turn the case back in time, do this twist, planting a time lapse. No one's going to think you did a switch. They're not going to get back there anyway, but if you plant a 20-second time lapse, there's no way they're going to get back. They'll swear this was in full view the entire time. That's the way sort of the human mind works. And then, of course, you reveal that you've been able to restore the holes in the case. A really nice addition to the whole impossible penetration. Man, oh man, lots of ideas there. I'm certain there's going to be a few that really appeal to you. As always, give it some practice. This is an easy trick. It's just a tilt of the hand. Super easy, okay? Don't sweat the small stuff. Get comfortable with it. But put in the rehearsal, a bit of rehearsal on what you're going to say, when you're going to say it, all that kind of thing. That'll make you a lot more comfortable and relaxed when you do share it. And when you're comfortable and relaxed, that's when you're going to be the best performer you can be. Because you want to go past just presenting a trick to being somebody who's with the audience and responding to the audience and available. And you only can do that once you're super comfortable as a mammal in front of other mammals. Take it easy.